Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. I'm pregnant and the baby is my husband James, but I had a miscarriage, which was caused by James' first love. Half a month after I fell into a coma, I received my husband's divorce settlement. As soon as I opened my eyes, just when everyone thought I wouldn't agree, I signed it with a bold stroke. Damn it, James is not as gentle as a young hunk, nor is he as attentive as a young hunk. Isn't it great to lock up the scumbag and still have 5 billion yuan at my disposal to squander? I was overjoyed and had to sign it immediately. When Sophia pushed me downstairs, I instinctively reached out to cover my stomach. There was my child, who was just 4 weeks pregnant, but with such a high staircase, my protective action was just in vain. I started bleeding as soon as I fell. I lost the child. After being sent to the hospital, I also hurt my head and fell into a coma for half a month before waking up. When I opened my eyes, I saw my best friend Luna. Seeing that I woke up, Luna was overjoyed and immediately asked me, "Emma, you're awake. How do you feel? Where does it hurt?" I pointed to my head and hissed, "It really hurts." Seeing me cry out in pain, Luna felt extremely distressed and couldn't help swearing, "It's all that damn James, a heartless scumbag. I advised you not to marry him, but you just wouldn't listen. Now look at what happened." I interrupted Luna in astonishment. "Who is James and when did I get married? Aren't I single?" Luna stared at me dumbfounded. "You don't remember James? Nor do you remember getting married? And you don't remember all the things James did to bully you for Sophia?" I shook my head in confusion. Luna didn't believe it and kept telling me about how my husband James had betrayed me. She said that James married me because I looked like his first love, Sophia. Sophia and James had a remarkable love affair back then, but they separated for some unknown reason. Later, when Sophia came back, James actually brought her along as his secretary. The two of them went in and out together, as intimate as a couple in love. She also said that Sophia had been secretly bullying me, showing off the jewelry James bought in front of me and calling James away whenever she wanted. Sophia also sent me a photo of her and James on a boat to provoke me. Luna also said that James hit me for Sophia and proposed to divorce me, but I refused to divorce and humbly begged James not to abandon me. I listened to this incredible story with wide eyes. Is this still me? Am I so lacking in principles? How could I not let go even though the scumbag had an affair and committed domestic violence? Was I out of my mind? Yes, you were out of your mind. You were so obsessed with James. I advised you to divorce, but you wouldn't listen. You even said that you would die without James. I don't know what kind of magic potion the scumbag James gave you to make you so dependent on him. The more Luna talked, the angrier she got, and she kept scolding James. That's when James, accompanied by a lawyer, angrily pushed open the door of my hospital room. Luna, with her back to the door, was using all the vicious words she could think of to curse James and Sophia. Compared to Luna's anger and indignation, I was completely confused and had no sense of being involved. Suddenly, I saw two men standing at the door, staring at Luna and me. I asked unhappily, "Who are you? Did you go to the wrong place?" When she turned around and saw James and the lawyer, Luna swallowed her endless stream of swear words. I watched as the tall, handsome man walked in with a gloomy face. He looked down at me on the hospital bed and said, "Emma, I didn't expect you to be so vicious. This matter can't be solved by you pretending to be in a coma for half a month. I'll give you a choice. Go and apologize to Sophia immediately. Ask her to forgive you." The man looked good, but he exuded a dangerous aura. His eyes looking at me were cold and heartless, and what he said was very unpleasant. I could guess without Luna's introduction that he was my scumbag husband, James. I twitched the corner of my mouth. What if I don't apologize? The man's thin lips parted slightly. "If you don't apologize, we'll get a divorce." After he said this coldly, the man who looked like a lawyer immediately opened his briefcase and handed me a divorce agreement. My head was still a little dizzy, and I subconsciously reached out to take the divorce agreement. After reading a few lines, I felt a headache. "What does this say?" The lawyer replied, "After the divorce, James will give you the cash equivalent of 10% of the company's shares. You can also choose any of the real estate and luxury cars under his name." Wait a minute. I interrupted the lawyer. "How much is 10% of the company shares worth in cash?" About 5 billion yuan, the lawyer replied. When the lawyer finished speaking, I was stunned in shock. 5 billion yuan? Was I dizzy and heard it wrong? I turned to look at Luna and repeated, Is 5 billion yuan real? Luna, there may be something wrong with my head, but my ears should be fine, right? Of course it's real. The lawyer answered my question before Luna could. While I was talking to the lawyer, my scumbag husband was frowning and looking down at me with disdain. Looking at his expression, I knew he was extremely impatient. After getting the lawyer's affirmative answer, I immediately reached out. Then what are we waiting for? Sign it. Where's the pen? Hurry up and give it to me. Excitement filled my mind. 5 billion yuan. My goodness, I never dreamed of having so much money. Surely this amount of money will be enough for me in this life, the next life, and the life after that. Getting so much money for a divorce? What a top-notch good guy. What good deed did I do to save the world to be treated so happily? I was so excited that my eyes filled with tears as I looked at the handsome man with a cold face in front of me. He wasn't at all as hateful as Luna described. I thought he was the best man in the world. I excitedly reached out to grab James' hand, wanting to express my gratitude for his generosity, but before my hand could touch James, he avoided me as if I were a plague. God, I wasn't embarrassed at all by being rejected so straightforwardly. For the sake of money, I can give up everything, including dignity. I eagerly grabbed the pen from the lawyer and signed my name at the back of the divorce agreement. Seeing me sign so readily, a look of disbelief flashed in James's eyes. Here I threw away the pen, still unable to believe it was true. I bit my finger, and the pain made my tears flow. The pain made me believe that I wasn't dizzy and it wasn't a dream. Luna. I have money. Woohoo! Luna, I have money. After I'm discharged from the hospital, I'll take you to a luxurious place and order 100 young hunks to sing with us. While I was hugging Luna and fantasizing about young hunks, I didn't notice at all that the man who was supposed to be my husband clearly had a stiff expression on his face. I was too excited to care about his expression and continued talking to Luna. By the way, do you know where William, the school hunk of our school, is now? Yes, he's in this city. I had a crush on him when I was at school. With 5 billion, do you think I can hire him? He had 8-pack abs when he played basketball. I secretly counted them and he has a V-shaped torso. It must be wonderful to be with him on a boat. The more I talked, the more excited I became. My liking for William completely made me forget about the two irrelevant people standing beside us. Luna didn't expect me to be so excited. She glanced at James, who was looking at me with a gloomy face, and hesitated to speak. Only then did I realize that they hadn't left yet. Since I had already signed the divorce agreement, shouldn't the matter be settled? I looked at them unhappily. Gentlemen, I've already signed the divorce agreement. Do you have anything else to do? If not, please leave. James gave me a cold look and turned around to leave. The lawyer followed behind with the divorce agreement. With no outsiders in the room, I grabbed Luna's hand and continued to ask about William. Luna said, He's already left. Emma, if you're just trying to provoke James, it won't work. He won't care. No, why would I provoke him? I'm serious. After we're discharged from the hospital, we'll go to a luxurious place to find young hunks. No, let's go find William first and see if he can fall in love with me. If he likes me, I will go looking for young hunks. If he doesn't, then I'll look for them. At first, Luna thought I was pretending, but after seeing that I showed no sadness at all, only excitement, she immediately called the doctor to examine me. The results showed that everything was normal, except that the doctor said I had a mild concussion. I could remember all the things that happened around me clearly, except for all the entanglements with James. I completely forgot about the mistress, the pregnancy, and the passionate love. My past with James was separately packed away in my memory and excluded. The doctor couldn't explain why I couldn't remember James. Luna was worried at first, but seeing that I was acting as if nothing had happened and clamoring to be discharged from the hospital, she had no choice but to accompany me out of the hospital. Luna sent me back to the house where I lived with James. It was an ultra-luxurious villa. When I entered the door and saw the luxurious decoration of the house, I stared wide-eyed and then shook my head immediately. Although the villa was decorated in a high-end style, it wasn't the decoration I liked. The wedding house had nothing to do with my taste. which showed that I wasn't happy in this marriage. Fortunately, James was generous enough to give me so much money in the divorce. Thinking of the money, I felt really happy. I couldn't wait to ask Luna. I wonder when the divorce money will be transferred to me? Luna replied, I think it will be after we get the divorce certificate. After all, there's a 30-day cooling-off period now. Never mind, let's pack up our things first. To be honest, I still couldn't believe that I had really been married until now. After all, I thought that if I got married, I would definitely marry a man I loved. I didn't like that man with a cold face at all, as if I owed him money. Why on earth did I marry such a man back then? I muttered to myself and went upstairs to the bedroom with Luna. When I saw the wedding photos hanging in the bedroom, I finally believed that I had been married. In the wedding photos, I was wearing a wedding dress and snuggling up to James, smiling so sweetly. Looking at these photos, I felt they were an eyesore. What I hated most in my life was men who cheated. How could I have married such a scumbag who had an affair during our marriage? Fortunately, I didn't remember him. Otherwise, I would have been furious. Right, I took down the wedding photos of me and James, opened the photo frames, and cut the photos in half with scissors. Luna wanted to stop me at first, but seeing that I was doing it with great enthusiasm, she had to let me do it. On the bedside table and dressing table in the wedding room, there were photos of me and James everywhere. I cut all the photos I could find in half. Then I opened the wardrobe and packed up all my clothes and jewelry. I didn't like this villa. James's lawyer had just said that I could choose any of James's villas at will. I planned to pack up my things and move to another place to live. While I was excitedly packing clothes and jewelry with Luna, the sound of a car came from outside. Soon there were footsteps on the stairs. Luna and I turned our heads and saw James and another strange woman appear outside. The woman had a bandage on her hand, was quite pretty, and was following James closely. Seeing the messy photos cut in half on the ground, a look of shock flashed across James's face. He roared at me. "What are you doing?" His voice was so loud that it startled me. I took a few steps back and looked at him wearily. So fierce. Luna said that this cheating man had hit me for his first love. Sophia, wouldn't he hit me now? My small body couldn't withstand his beating. I quickly hid behind Luna. Seeing me hide, James roared again. Seeing that he didn't have any intention of rushing over to hit me, I straightened my neck. "Why are you shouting?" "I'm not deaf. Since we've already signed the divorce agreement, the photos should be separated so that our future partners won't feel uncomfortable when they see them. I've already put away mine. You can put away yours yourself or ask someone else to do it." James's face became even uglier when he heard what I said. He glared at me viciously. "Emma, you've got guts. Damn it, you've got guts." The woman with a bandage behind him then said in a delicate voice, "Miss Emma, you've really misunderstood me and James. James and I are just working together. We're completely innocent. You can't divorce James just because of suspicion and misunderstanding." I stared at the woman who was speaking. It seemed that this should be James's first love, Sophia. She was quite elegant and looked so pitiful that men would surely like and want to protect her. This Sophia didn't look like a bad woman at first glance. However, Luna wouldn't lie to me. Since she could seduce someone else's husband, one can imagine how bad her character is. I said sincerely, "Miss, it's a bit too early for you to assert your sovereignty. I haven't got the divorce certificate yet. If you're so close to James like this, others will call you a mistress. For the sake of your and James's reputations, I suggest you'd better not be so high profile and keep a certain distance." "Emma, what nonsense are you talking about? Do you think everyone is as dirty as you?" James roared at me. I was startled by his fierce gaze. This man seemed to dislike me extremely. He's my cash cow now, I mustn't offend him. Otherwise, if I make him angry and he doesn't give me the money, all my efforts will be in vain. I immediately changed my expression and said apologetically, "Mr. James, please don't be angry. I just said it casually. If you're unhappy, I won't say it again. By the way, I'll finish packing soon and leave after that." Hearing what I said, James's gaze at me became even more terrifying, as if he was going to devour me. I shivered. I didn't know which sentence I had said wrong. Although I was scared thinking of the 5 billion yuan, I really didn't want to give up. "James, when will you give me the 5 billion yuan?" James looked at me with a gloomy expression and didn't say a word. I didn't know what he meant. Wouldn't he go back on his word? A cheating man surely has no integrity. If he goes back on his word, won't I suffer a great loss? I just searched the cloakroom and found that the bags, jewelry, and clothes I usually wore were all very valuable. Even if the cheating man goes back on his word and doesn't give me the 5 billion yuan, I can still get a lot of money by selling these clothes, bags, and jewelry. Worried that the cheating man would go back on his word and adhering to the principle of getting as much as I could, I immediately called the moving company without hesitation. An hour later, 3 big trucks drove to the entrance of the villa. The workers of the moving company started busily moving my clothes, shoes, and bags. The jewelry was too precious, so I didn't dare to let the workers of the moving company move it. Instead, Luna and I moved it ourselves. After moving all the things to Luna's apartment, I was exhausted. I was still thinking about the 5 billion yuan promised by the cheating man. Even though I was lying exhausted in Luna's apartment, I still didn't forget to ask her, "Luna, won't he go back on his word?" Luna didn't know either. "Never mind, let's move out first. Don't you have a crush on William? We'll go find William tomorrow. He's a great lawyer. If James dares to go back on his word, we'll ask William to help you with the divorce lawsuit." That night, I slept soundly in Luna's apartment. In the wedding room where I used to live with James. James was sitting alone in the empty wedding room, looking at the shredded photos of himself on the ground with a gloomy face. James didn't believe that Emma would be willing to divorce him. Emma's love for him had reached an abnormal level. She monitored everything he did in real time, and didn't give him any space or freedom at all. He and Sophia were just in an ordinary working relationship. He just helped Sophia because he thought she was pitiful. But Emma went crazy and made a fuss with him, saying that he and Sophia were having an ambiguous kiss. She also said that he and Sophia went on a boat. What he hated most was being slandered. Since Emma didn't believe him like this and wouldn't listen to his explanations, he simply took care of Sophia according to Emma's thoughts. He didn't expect that Emma would lose her mind and make trouble for Sophia. Sophia was pushed downstairs by Emma and broke her arm. Emma herself must have known that she had done something wrong. She actually pretended to be in a coma for half a month in the hospital in order to avoid responsibility. She even pretended not to know him, and she agreed to the divorce so readily. James would never believe that Emma would give up on him. She must be retreating in order to advance. She signed the agreement readily and deliberately mentioned William, his rival in love, to provoke him. Then she cut up the wedding photos and moved her things away to see if he would stop her. James sneered, playing tricks with him. Emma's actions were too childish. James stood up and made a phone call while walking to inform his assistant, "Send over the anniversary gift prepared for my wife. Also, arrange for me to have a midnight snack with Sophia later." I slept until 9 o'clock the next morning in Luna's apartment. When I woke up, I heard Luna swearing. I yawned and went over. It turned out that there was news about my scumbag husband, James, having a midnight snack with a woman. The candlelight midnight snack was very romantic, and there was a violinist playing the violin. Beside them, to add to the atmosphere, there was a beautifully packaged gift box on the table. It was said to be a limited edition bracelet bracelet from a luxury brand, and only 3 were released globally. Clicked my tongue. How romantic and luxurious. Luna was jumping with anger. "Do you know what that gift is? It's the wedding anniversary gift that you had been longing for. That bastard James actually gave it to Sophia, that disgusting woman. He's really gone too far." I patted Luna's shoulder. "Calm down. Haven't we already divorced? It's normal for him to give gifts to whoever he wants." Luna was so angry that she blurted out, "But it's different when he gives it to Sophia, that killed your child." I looked at Luna in astonishment. "Child? Did I have a child with James? How old was it?"
Luna está mered.
I continued to ask, "Didn't Sophia killing my child also mean killing James' child? Doesn't James care? Even if it's intentional homicide, Emma, the child wasn't born yet. It was just an embryo. You were just 4 weeks pregnant and hadn't had time to tell James when Sophia pushed you downstairs and you had a miscarriage." Listening to Luna's story, I couldn't help but reach out to touch my stomach. Was there once a little life staying here briefly? I couldn't remember all the things with James, but I knew my temper. If I didn't love someone, I would never have a child for that person. So did I really love James that much? But James killed the child of me and him for another woman. He didn't care about my child, which shows how much he hated his relationship with me. I felt inexplicably sad, not because I remembered something, but because I was sad for the child who died before it was born and whom I had never met. The good mood I had because I could get 5 billion yuan from the divorce disappeared in an instant. Seeing that I was listless, Luna had to persuade me. The child is gone, and James has cheated on you and doesn't love you anymore. This situation is the best now, Emma. Let's look forward and find a man who truly loves you and live a good life. With Luna's persuasion, I felt much better. James was so vicious and shameless to me and my child, which shows that he is not a man with a conscience. Even a tiger doesn't eat its cubs. He could be so heartless as to ignore his own flesh and blood, let alone me, his so-called wife. Last night, I moved several large boxes of jewelry from James' place. Those pieces of jewelry were all limited edition and valuable items. I probably wouldn't have any occasion to wear them after the divorce. Since James was so protective of the mistress and so heartless, if he went back on his word and took back these pieces of jewelry, all my efforts would be in vain. So to be on the safe side, I decided to sell all those pieces of jewelry. Luna stared wide-eyed as she watched me move the jewelry to the car. Emma, are you sure you won't regret it? These things are all gifts from James to you, and each one has commemorative significance. What if you regret it later when you think about it? What's there to regret? Since I'm divorced, it's useless. Even if I regret it, I'm only thinking about money now. First, I'll pawn the jewelry, then have a meal, and after that, we'll go to find William and catch up. Luna and I went to the jewelry store and sold all those limited edition pieces of jewelry at a very low price, including the wedding ring on my hand. Luna said that the ring was custom-made, and that only one would be given in a lifetime. I didn't have time to listen to Luna's muttering. When I heard the offer from the jewelry store, I almost drooled. Those pieces of jewelry were sold for 500 million yuan. I became a little rich woman. I happily took Luna to the best 5-star hotel in the city for lunch. Unexpectedly, we met James and the mistress Sophia at the entrance of the hotel. James was wearing a white shirt with his coat hanging over his arm. There was a faint smile on his face. Compared with his fierce look towards me yesterday, he looked much better when he smiled. Sophia still had her arm in a sling, wearing a limited edition haute couture dress, and on her other hand was the bracelet that was said to be prepared by James for me. I took a quick glance at James and Sophia and then withdrew my gaze, walking quickly into the hotel with Luna. Luna and I were waiting for the elevator when Sophia came over with a delicate voice, accompanied by James. She actually took the initiative to greet me. What a coincidence! Luna snorted through her nose and I smiled and nodded. Yes, it's quite a coincidence. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I'd like to make it clear first that Luna and I decided to come here for dinner on the spur of the moment, not to follow you. Don't think too much about it. James had a stinky face and Sophia smiled awkwardly. We all got to the elevator. Coincidentally, the private rooms we reserved were on the same floor and were even opposite each other. Luna and I sat down and started ordering the signature dishes and were enjoying the meal. Halfway through the meal, I got up and went to the bathroom. After using the toilet, I was washing my hands at the sink when the sound of high heels came in crisply. A strong fragrance of perfume wafted over. I didn't need to look to know it was Sophia. That perfume smell in the elevator just now gave me a headache. Sophia stood behind me. She said with a smirk, "Emma, you're quite good at the tactic of retreating in order to advance, huh?" I turned my head to look at Sophia, not understanding what she meant. "I thought you would make a fuss with James about the child's matter. I didn't expect that you could bear it like this. Aren't you supposed to have a bad temper? Your child was pushed down by me and gone. Haven't you ever thought of taking revenge for her?" I looked at Sophia quietly, not understanding why she came to provoke me at this time. I had already divorced James. Wouldn't it be good for her to be happily with James? Why did she come looking for trouble? Sophia laughed arrogantly. "I pushed you to downstairs that day. I knew you were pregnant and did it on purpose. I just wanted to kill your child. Look, your child is gone and James doesn't care at all. Instead, he stays by my side every day because I broke my arm." She raised her hand triumphantly. "Do you know there's nothing wrong with my arm? I didn't break it at all. I just pretended a little and everyone believed it. I'm much more important than you and your child in James's heart." Aren't you sad or hateful?" As soon as she finished speaking, I turned around quickly and locked the door. Then I turned my head again, grabbed Sophia's hair, and slammed her hand viciously against the sink. The screams were earth-shattering, and Sophia's cries for help could be heard far away. The sound of kicking the door outside was also earth-shattering. Along with the sound of kicking the door was James's furious shout, "Emma, stop it! Stop it right now! I order you to stop immediately!" I didn't stop. I just grabbed Sophia's hair and slammed her arm viciously. Sophia was struggling desperately. My face was scratched by her sharp nails and was bleeding profusely, but I didn't pause at all. I just kept hitting her arm against the hard sink again and again. The sink was made of granite. When the hotel staff opened the door, Sophia's arm was already disabled. James rushed in and saw Sophia's bloody arm, raised his hand and gave me a heavy slap. Vicious woman. My ears were ringing, and half of my face was numb. There was also blood oozing from the corner of my mouth. I looked at James and grinned as if I couldn't feel the pain. Luna rushed in and hugged me. "Emma! Emma!" Being supported by her, I felt at ease. I leaned against Luna's arms and said, "I've got my revenge." After saying this, I passed out. When I woke up, it was several hours later. Besides Luna, William was also in the ward. William looked at me with heartache. "Emma, why are you so silly? There are countless ways to take revenge. Why did you choose such a way that would hurt yourself badly?" I twitched the corner of my mouth. Half of my face was still in pain. James had really slapped me hard. I even felt that my teeth were loose. She pretended to break her arm and killed my child. Of course, I had to make her truly break her arm to satisfy her. This is so arrogant. I also wanted to beat her to death, but now that her hand is disabled, she's shouting that she'll see you. Luna's face was full of worry. "James's lawyer just came to see you and said that they'll sue you for intentional injury." I didn't know how to deal with it, so I called William. I said in a cold tone, "Let them sue. I'm not afraid. At worst, I'll go to jail." Then wouldn't that be just what Sophia wants? "William, please help Emma." Luna asked William for my sake, and William nodded. "I'll help Emma. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, no one can hurt Emma." Hearing what William said, Luna breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, there was a knock on the door, and James and the lawyer came in. James stared at me with a gloomy look while the lawyer told me in a businesslike manner about the seriousness of my intentionally injuring Sophia. I didn't say a word. After the lawyer finished saying that I would be detained for half a month, he changed the topic. "Miss Sophia is magnanimous. If you are willing to go and apologize in person, the detention can be waived." "Detain me then," I said indifferently. "I'm waiting to go to jail." "Emma," James, who hadn't spoken all this time, said, "do you really think I don't dare?" I raised my head to look at him and smiled, parting my lips. "I know you dare. I don't care." James's expression froze a little, and he was furious. "You're so stubborn. Since you want to go to jail, suit yourself." William, who hadn't spoken all this time, said, "James, whether she goes to jail or not isn't up to you. It's up to the court. What the specific situation is will only be clear after the judge makes a judgment in court." James left in a huff, and William got up to pour me a glass of water and comforted me. "Don't be afraid. I won't let you go to jail." I said, "Thank you." I wasn't bluffing. I really wasn't afraid. The mistress had bullied me so arrogantly. How could I possibly swallow my anger? Originally, I didn't want to have any conflict with Sophia, but she was asking for trouble herself. She thought I was still the silly Emma who only had James in her heart. She thought my amnesia was just an act, a way to play hard to get to make James come back. But I really had amnesia, right? I knew that a cheating man was terrible, heartless, and cold. And I also knew that when a mistress was shameless, it was beyond what normal people could imagine. So when Sophia provoked me, I had already been prepared. I only took action against her because I was prepared. I picked up my mobile phone and sent a recording to the number that Sophia often used to provoke me. In Sophia's ward, she was lying on the bed, and her face was distorted with pain. This time the pain was real, not pretended. Emma hadn't held back when dealing with her. Sophia's hand was slammed against the sink by Emma again and again. It wasn't just a simple fracture. The bones were smashed into pieces. It's easy to recover from a fracture with surgery, But it's different when the bones are shattered into small pieces. Although James had found the best doctor for Sophia's surgery, and the doctor had tried his best, the damage was irreversible. It was completely impossible for Sophia's hand to recover to its original state. The doctor told Sophia and James that Sophia's fracture was shattered into small pieces, as terrifying as if it had been crushed. Sophia gritted her teeth with hatred. She hadn't expected Emma to be so crazy. Obviously, Emma had always swallowed her anger and been bullied by her before, without the ability to fight back. Before, she had always thought that Emma refused to sign the divorce agreement to trap James, but Emma had already signed the divorce agreement, and James was different from before. She had dressed up so beautifully, but James's gaze didn't stay on her at all. Instead, he had been constantly looking at Emma, who was without makeup and looked casual in the private room. James had obviously talked a lot less today. Emma's indifference to James had made him absent-minded. He wasn't interested in the food and didn't have the mood to talk to her. He had been looking absent-mindedly at the opposite private room. Sophia gritted her teeth with hatred. Needless to say, James was also looking at Emma. James had Emma in his heart. Otherwise, he wouldn't have condescended to marry Emma, who was a nobody. She couldn't let Emma stay in James's heart even a little bit. She wanted to make James completely disgusted with Emma. Sophia had always thought that by provoking Emma like this, at most she would be beaten up by Emma and make James dislike Emma even more. She hadn't expected that Emma would be like a different person, lock the door and be so fierce to her. Her arm would be disabled in the future and could never be the same as before. Sophia hated Emma bitterly. She couldn't let Emma have an easy life and was determined to make Emma go to jail. Sophia was hating in her heart when a message came in on her mobile phone. After clicking on it and listening to the first short part, Sophia's face turned pale. Emma had actually recorded every word she said to Emma. If Emma gave this recording to James, Sophia knew how terrible the consequences would be. With her arm in a sling, Sophia went to Emma's ward alone. In the ward, Emma was sitting alone on the sofa, eating cherries. Seeing Sophia come in, she smiled. "Here you are with no outsiders around." Sophia glared at Emma with resentment. "What on earth do you want, Emma? You're so shameless." "Didn't I learn my shamelessness from you, Miss Sophia? These tricks can only be used by you on me, but I can't use them on you. Aren't you being too domineering?" "What do you mean, Emma? My request is very simple." Emma stared at Sophia's face, speaking word by word. "Get down on your knees and apologize." "Is it just to get down on your knees and apologize?" "Right. Kneel down and apologize sincerely, and I'll consider letting you go. Otherwise, I'll send the recording to James immediately." "I can kneel down and apologize, but you must delete the recording. You can't threaten me with it." "Don't worry, I'm not that despicable. I won't threaten you as long as you kneel down, apologize, and admit your mistake. If I approve of your attitude, I'll forgive you. I'll also help you when James comes back." "How is that possible?" Sophia looked at Emma in disbelief. "Nothing is impossible. I only have 2 requirements. One is that you don't pursue my responsibility for hitting you. The other is that you make James give me more property when we divorce." Sophia didn't believe Emma's words, but she now had a handle in Emma's hands. As a temporary measure, she could only apologize. Sophia was a person who could stoop to conquer, and immediately she knelt down with a thud. Emma didn't feel any relief in her heart when she saw Sophia kneeling in front of her to apologize. This was just the beginning. The best was yet to come. Sophia's kneeling down to apologize didn't mean that she was willing to do so. Emma had learned to play hard to get and made her suffer a silent loss. She couldn't just do nothing. Fortunately, her people were not to be trifled with either, and soon they caught Emma's weakness. Sophia called James and asked him to come to the hospital. When James came in, Sophia took the initiative to say that she wouldn't pursue Emma's responsibility. She told James very sweetly, "James, I know you have Emma in your heart. I know that what happened between you and me in the past made Emma misunderstand. It's all my fault. I'm willing to go to Emma to explain the misunderstanding clearly. I just hope you two can make up." Seeing such an understanding Sophia, James felt very distressed. He increasingly felt that Emma was unreasonable and incomprehensible. He comforted Sophia for a while and was about to leave the hospital. Just as he stood up, his assistant called. James, the jewelry store, called and said, "What did they say? Why are you hesitating?" "They said that Madame pawned all the jewelry, including the family heirloom you gave her and the wedding ring." The family heirloom of the James family was only passed down to daughters-in-law. That was the rule. When James proposed, he personally put the heirloom jade bracelet on Emma's hand. Emma knew the importance of that jade bracelet. He clearly remembered how Emma burst into tears of joy at that time. Now she had actually pawned that family heirloom and the wedding ring which he had personally chosen, a ring that was only given to one person in a lifetime, one for him and one for Emma. They had promised to be together forever. Now Emma had actually pawned the wedding ring. Did she really not care about him anymore? James couldn't believe it was true. He suspected that he had heard wrong. "What did you say? Say it again." The assistant repeated it, and James exploded with anger and kicked over the coffee table in the ward. Hearing his furious outburst, the assistant added cautiously, "I heard that Madam has asked William to help her with the divorce lawsuit. There are rumors outside that she will marry William after the divorce." I didn't stay in the hospital for long after Sophia knelt down to apologize. I was ready to be discharged. William and Luna came to pick me up. William was very gentlemanly towards me. Seeing the shocking scratches on my face and afraid that I would be sad, he comforted me. "Emma, I've asked the doctor about the scars on your face. He said that if you don't eat spicy and pigmented foods, they will gradually recover. I've asked my classmates to buy imported ointment. Applying it should prevent scarring." When Sophia and James were going to sue me for the crime of intentional injury, William had always firmly supported me. He said that he would help me with the lawsuit and wouldn't let me get hurt at all. I'm really grateful to William for lending me a helping hand. Thank you. William, you're welcome. It's my pleasure to do something for you. We walked to the parking lot, and William opened the car door very gentlemanly for me to get in. Suddenly, I felt someone's gaze on me. Turning around, I saw James. James looked at me as if he wanted to kill me. Seeing James looking at me with such hatred, I knew that he felt aggrieved for Sophia, the mistress. After all, I had really made Sophia, the mistress, suffer. James must hate me bitterly now, and I didn't want to have any contact with him anymore either. There were some things that I had to make clear to James. Since we had met, there was no time like the present. I walked towards James with my scarred face and asked him politely, "James, when will you give me the $5 billion you promised me? By the way, your lawyer said that I could choose any of the real estate and luxury cars at will. Can I go to choose them now?" James looked at me with hatred. "You're dreaming, Emma. A vicious and shameless woman like you doesn't deserve a penny of my property. I've changed my mind. I won't give you a penny." I stared at James with wide eyes. "You're going back on your word." James glared at me viciously. "Yes, I've gone back on my word. I'll make you leave with nothing. Not a penny for you." There was a fierce look on his handsome face. Looking at me, word by word, he said as if he were looking at something dirty, "It was understandable that James went back on his word. After all, what couldn't a scumbag who cheated and kept a mistress do?" Although I knew that this might be the result, I was still shaking with anger. Seeing that I was shaking with anger, James didn't restrain himself at all and continued to say to me, word by word, "You married me with nothing and you'll leave with nothing. Give me back all the things I gave you, including clothes, jewelry, and bags. If you dare to be short of even one thing, I'll make you pay the price." After saying that, he left with his assistant in a huff. I was shaking all over and was so angry that I almost fainted. Luna and William supported me on either side and helped me get into the car. Luna and William had both heard what James had just said. Both of them couldn't believe it.
Luna spat viciously. "Scumbag?"
I've never seen such a disgusting scumbag. He cheated and helped the mistress deal with his wife. He even wants to make Emma leave with nothing. How could he have the nerve? Since he had already cheated, what was there to be ashamed of? After all, he didn't feel the slightest bit sad when his own child was killed by the mistress. How could he possibly have any pity for me, the discarded wife? James said that he wanted me to leave with nothing and couldn't take anything of his. I could only choose to redeem the jewelry I had sold. I sold it for 500 million yuan, but redeeming it was different. The jewelry store asked me to pay 1 billion yuan before they would give it back to me. In the end, the commotion even got the police involved. I paid the jewelry store an extra 20 million yuan before I got back all the pawn jewelry. James had stopped my card, and the money for redeeming the jewelry was borrowed from William. I hadn't originally wanted more. I just wanted James to give me what he had promised. But he went back on his word and wanted to make me leave with nothing. James didn't just cut off my money but also prevented me from finding a job. I sent out countless resumes, but not a single company dared to hire me. In the end, I was reduced to handing out flyers on the street. I was paid 30 yuan per hour, but I was fired by the boss after just half an hour. Without money, a job, or savings, I couldn't survive. Even worse, James also took action against Luna. Luna was fired. She had always been a key member of the company and was working on some projects. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for her to be fired. There was only one reason James was targeting her: because he was targeting me. He was taking revenge on me for the sake of his sweetheart, Sophia. He wanted me to apologize to Sophia, but I didn't do as he asked, so James was determined to ruin me. They say that even a rabbit will bite when it's cornered. I'm not a rabbit, but if pushed too hard, I'll be even fiercer than a rabbit. Since this was what James wanted, I could only do as he wished. Wasn't it just an apology? I called James. This was the first time I took the initiative to contact him 60 days after I agreed to sign the divorce agreement. If nothing unexpected had happened, I would have already passed the divorce cooling-off period and gone our separate ways. But fate is so strange. Because of Sophia, James tore up the divorce agreement. Surprisingly, we were still officially husband and wife. I called him a total of 14 times before he finally answered, coldly saying, "What's the matter? Can we meet?" "I don't have time," he said. I replied, "I know you're busy. I won't take up too much of your time," I said quickly, afraid that James would hang up. "I know I was wrong. I'll apologize to Sophia in front of you. I'll do whatever you ask. Please just let Luna go." There was silence on the other end of the phone for a while. "I want to see your sincerity." I didn't know what kind of sincerity James wanted. I asked humbly, "What do you want me to do? Just tell me, and I promise I won't resist. Go home first and wait for me." After cooking dinner, I went back to the so-called wedding room that I shared with James. Surprisingly, the password hadn't been changed, and I easily entered the villa. The villa was clean and bright. It seemed that someone had been cleaning it all along. Since I was asking for a favor, I should act like someone asking for a favor. I bought groceries and went to the kitchen to cook a table full of delicious dishes. All the dishes were James' favorites. I laid the dishes on the table. When James came back, I showed him a flattering smile. "You're back. I've cooked." He sneered coldly and walked past me to the dining. The table was filled with dishes that James liked. Actually, I had long forgotten what James liked to eat. To please James, I searched through my chat records with him. Finally, I figured out his preferences. James sat down and started eating silently. I sat beside him obsequiously and served him food. Perhaps my fawning attitude touched him, and he thought it wasn't impossible to let me off. After eating and drinking his fill, James put down his chopsticks and handed me a contract. I took the contract and read it carefully. The content of the contract was very clear. He wouldn't divorce me, but he would let me continue to sit in the position of his wife as Mrs. James during this period. I couldn't interfere with his freedom. As a reward for me, he could restore my card usage and let me continue to enjoy the life of a wealthy lady. Of course, during this period, I had to be available at his call and couldn't have any communication with any opposite sex. The agreement was almost like the harsh conditions of a king. In James's eyes, I wasn't a wife but just a decorative servant-like role. After reading the agreement, I was speechless for a moment. James looked down at me. "Sign it or not? Can I think about it?" "Think about it? Do you still need to think about this, Emma? Don't you know how many people are waiting to be Mrs. James? I've already been kind enough to you." "I know. Please give me half an hour to think about it," I begged James humbly. Seeing that my attitude was so good, he finally agreed and went upstairs to the study. I made a cup of tea and followed him upstairs with it. After watching James drink the tea I gave him, I turned around and went downstairs and called Sophia. Sophia came quickly. When she came in, she even mocked me several times. If you had known this would happen, why didn't you agree to the divorce in the first place? Because I was stupid, I said indifferently. She sneered. If you had divorced at the beginning, you could have gotten 5 billion yuan. Now you can't get a penny. Now you can only rely on me to help you. Emma, you've shot yourself in the foot. I remained expressionless. Miss Sophia, hurry up and transfer the money and go have fun with your sweetheart. A moment of pleasure is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Sophia glared at me, transferred 10 million yuan to me, and then quickly went upstairs. The study door opened and then closed. I sat in the living room and heard the rather loud sounds of lovemaking coming from upstairs. I looked at the 10 million yuan that Sophia had transferred to me. I was beaming with joy. The next morning, James coldly pushed open the bedroom door and woke me up from my deep sleep. Emma, you shameless woman. Did you drug me last night? I didn't. How dare you deny it? Look at your shameless look. You've even left hickey marks all over my neck. He showed me the red marks on his neck. I lowered my eyes and didn't say a word. James thought I was embarrassed and arrogantly threw a pill at me. This is a contraceptive pill. Take it immediately. I don't want to see a disgusting thing like you give birth to my child. I nodded like a pestle pounding in a mortar and took the pill and swallowed it. Seeing that I was so obedient, James got angry again, and even viciously insulted me several times before leaving. In the evening, James came back again. I followed the same pattern and drugged him to make him have sex with Sophia. Half a month passed like this, and Sophia sent me a message along with a pregnancy test report. Accompanying the pregnancy test report was Sophia's arrogant message. I'm pregnant. You can get lost. I saved Sophia's pregnancy test report, and also saved every video of Sophia and James having sex in bed. After preparing the materials, I hired William and filed a divorce petition on the grounds of James's extramarital affair. When James's lawyer received the summons from the court and went to tell James, he looked incredulous. Has Emma gone mad? How dare she? Madam is demanding half of your property, and also says that you are the at-fault party, and asks you to come compensate her for mental damages. This shameless woman. How dare she? Does she think that finding William will turn everything upside down? This time I'll see what trick she can play. On the day of the divorce hearing, James and I sat facing each other in the courtroom. This divorce trial was held in private. Only the judge, me, William, and the lawyers of both sides were present. My lawyer, William, presented the evidence of James's extramarital affair. When the judge started playing the videos of James and Sophia in bed, James was completely stunned. How is this possible? This is false evidence. Emma, you're so vicious. You even fabricated evidence. I ignored James, and William continued to state, James has been persecuting my client mentally for a long time. Not only did he bring his mistress home and fool around in front of my client, but he also made my client prepare midnight snacks for them. My client once attempted suicide because of this, but fortunately it was discovered in time. James's eyes were wide with anger. Lying. He's lying. James's mistress pushed my pregnant client down the stairs, causing a miscarriage. James protected his mistress and wanted to calm things down by agreeing to the divorce, but then he went back on his word because of the property. Later, the truth about Sophia's so-called broken arm came to light. The doctor provided testimony that she wasn't injured at all and had been pretending, and my miscarriage record was clear and straightforward. After knowing about my miscarriage, James's face turned pale. He jumped up out of control. Miscarriage? When were you pregnant? Why didn't you tell me, Emma? Why didn't you tell me about your miscarriage? I lowered my eyes and didn't look at him. William's voice continued. James's mistress often threatened, cursed, and beat my client. My client suffered from depression. She was so afraid of you too that she didn't dare to say anything. William took out the evidence of Sophia provoking me again. These are the videos and evidence of provocation that James's mistress sent to my client. The pieces of evidence were presented one by one. At first, James always believed that I had fabricated the videos of him and Sophia to slander him until he watched all the videos of him and Sophia in bed. Looking at the dates on them, he couldn't believe it. How is this possible? How could it be Sophia? Wasn't it you, Emma? Weren't you the one with me? Of course not. My client, while you were having an affair with your mistress upstairs, Was downstairs crying her eyes out and being tortured mentally by you too. William sneered. All this continued until your mistress got pregnant. My client, thinking of the lost child, finally couldn't bear such inhumane torture, and thus filed for divorce. Sophia was pregnant with James's child. The hospital issued a certificate, and Sophia also admitted that the child was James's. James jumped up furious and started smashing things, but his anger couldn't change anything. With conclusive evidence, William coldly told him, "You'd better agree to my client's request for divorce and give her half of your property. Otherwise, don't blame others if the videos of you and Sophia accidentally get leaked." James left angrily and went to find Sophia. Sophia looked at him pitifully.
I'm pregnant, James.
It was Emma who set me up to be with you. Before she could finish her words, James slapped her across the face. Who told you to plot against me? You're this insane and shameless. James couldn't imagine that he had actually slept with Sophia. He had always thought it was Emma. He had always thought that Emma was using tricks to ease their relationship. He didn't expect Sophia to be so shameless. He didn't expect that Sophia had secretly been torturing Emma like that. He didn't expect that the child of her and Emma had been pushed downstairs and died by Sophia. He didn't expect that Emma had watched him having sex with Sophia indifferently. Where was the Emma who used to get jealous and make a big fuss just because he and Sophia attended an event together? William's voice echoed in James's ears. Emma really lost her memory. It wasn't an act. She was made to lose her memory by your mistress. She has sealed up all the past about you and her, and will never remember it again. James had always thought that Emma's amnesia was just an act. He didn't expect it to be true. She has no feelings for you now. Originally, she could have not hated you, but James, you forced her to start hating you. Emma designed all this herself. You and Sophia were having an affair upstairs while Emma was sitting in the living room. She sold you to Sophia for 10 million yuan. Look, you're only worth 10 million yuan in her eyes. James went crazy. He kicked Sophia downstairs. The child in Sophia's belly was gone, and her arm was also broken brutally. James hired people to torture Sophia every day, wanting to make her life a living hell. But no matter how crazy he went, Emma would never come back.